people cannot do not pulling the code, and then they are trying to push the code. Okay, then it is creating the problem. Again, see how GitHub is working. GitHub not, it is something is called version control. It is called version control. Version control, generally we have different software. Previously we were used, is called subversion, and in short the name was SVN. You can see the software if you try to download something called .ties SVN. Okay, this is one of the software like Git Bash, you can say. We can commit the code, push the code, pull the code using the Eclipse. We can do the git pull push from here, like going here and then doing something like pull push and all those things from here. Another way is what we already downloaded the git and we can use the command. So this thing like similar to that one in previously it was called subversion SVN. So it is also to handle the version control, means to handle, to manage the code. Here we are doing this version control means managing our code. Now people we are all using Git. So Git is like a language. If you see it, it has so many commands. Git command can be used. Git command can be used in command, not Git bash. Yes, command prompt you mean. Here its meaning is what you are asking about the command prompt. I believe you can use. We can try. We can use. Showing something like this, its meaning you can use. So I just executed the Git, then it shows me. We can use that one. So this is Git language. This is developed by Linus Torvald. Git bash, GitHub is the place where we are keeping our code. So it is called also repository, means where we are keeping our code. So it is not like simple folder type where we are keeping the things. We have so many options. So here what happened, suppose I created one, suppose I uploaded only one file. I created one GitHub repository, and we said suppose code is our repository name. So I as a Javed, so I created one file. Okay, I created this repository. This is my repository. Then I created one file. Then I push the code here. So suppose that file name is 1.java. Any name, I'm just giving an example. Then after that, all of us, like I added some of the user. Suppose some of the student, suppose user 1, user 2, user 3, and user 4. Then I ask them clone the project. Okay, when they clone all of these users, when they clone, first time cloning means completely you are downloading the new from repository, you are downloading the each and everything new. Before that one you don't have this code. This is you are doing first time from this repository. Maybe you clone somewhere else, but here you are cloning first time. Okay, then 1.java, you have also this Java user 1 also have 1.java. This guy also have 1.java. This guy also has 1.java, and so on. If we have so many users, now this guy either change to this one, but here we are not changing the same file. So u1 now created one 2.java. Okay, same time this u2 created u2.java, u3.java. Now, if they want any one of them, maybe one in this, maybe someone is better coder, faster, or working hard. So any one of them did the coding fast before and try to push the code. Suppose this guy already created U2 and try to push the code. So here what happened after one.java, I haven't changed suppose any code. I have not changed any code in one.java, or I haven't added any another code. So here I haven't pushed the code, or no one pushed the code. So this is the latest. One.java is the still latest here. Now U2. So U2 did what? He created U2.java and tried to push the code. Now see here, all of them having one.java, the same version what is here, because I haven't changed this one, no one else changed, and they all having the same latest code. So here in the first time, if anyone didn't push the code, directly didn't pull the code and directly push the code, maybe our repository, our git will allow, because it is having the latest code already and it added something. Whenever you want to push the code, your local, this is our local system, suppose your local must have latest whatever in the repository, then it will allow to push the code. If you don't have latest, if anyone doesn't have the latest code, then if they want to push the code, they have to first update their local. Okay, update local meaning here is pulling the code, update here means pulling the code. Once they pull the code, then it will be latest, means here if any extra thing I added or anyone else added, then it is going to be updated. But as I said, this guy tried, has clone, all of them clone, but no one push, even I haven't push. So here if you anyone doesn't have the latest code, so they cannot pull the code, because this version is getting changed every time. Whenever anyone is push the code, there is some version they are taking care by the git people. We don't have to take tension of that one. But whenever you clone the project, then you can see you have one folder that is called .git. I make this one view as a hidden folder, can also visible, that's why you can see this one. So inside that one, they are mentioning compare whenever someone push pull. So they mention the version. So if version is mismatched, they will not allow to push the code. And pull the code is what? There is something is called conflict. Conflict will happen if same file more than one person change. Now here you can see this guy if try to push the code can, because no one changed. So same version. Generally someone change, even I changed something, I added new file or I modified this one.java, so version here get changed. So if anyone tried to push the code without pulling, then it will not allow, it will say something rejected something and sometime problem. That's the reason I am always keeping I am repeating this thing. Whenever you push the code, first pull the code. Whenever you touch the code, first pull the code. Pull means you are updating your local with the latest. You can push only if you have the latest changes whatever in the repository, means it's like a synchronization. You are trying to synchronize with the repository. If your local changes having the same changes and you have something extra, it's okay. But you this guy is having some changes, and that here some changes, someone push the code and that one is not in the user too, then it's like that this user doesn't have the extra code whatever someone push here. So you can see here, then suppose you to pull the code and then push the code. When it will push the code, then here we can see with one.java we have another Java class u2.java. Now in repository the latest code is one.java plus u2.java, because this guy is already first pull and then also push the code. Now u1 is all created 2.java, u3 created u3.java. Now any one of them doesn't have this code, only this guy is having this code. Even I didn't have, even if I tried to push the code, either any new file or if I modify something, then even I am unable to push the code because I don't have the latest changes whatever inside the version. So if anything I want, even for me, I have to first pull, and then suppose I change in this file or I added new thing, then I can push. Else Git will not allow. There is some latest code. Suppose this u2 already push the code. Already push means he added this u2.java and he added the code here. He means pull, first pull and then push the code. Now in our repository we have two different classes, project, anything. Here main agenda, main thing I want to describe is some changes happened here. It may be new classes, it may be same classes, something. Now suppose this is u1, try to push the code, but here you can see u1 is having old version of this one. When Javed push this code, then on that time they clone the project and they have this code. This one is not here. This one is not here. So u1 if try to push the code, your Git will reject. Git will say no, you don't have latest version whatever I have. So first sync with me. Sync means first pull my changes. So once the user one do the pull, then it will sync. It will automatically download u2.java. So this is what I am saying. If you try to push without pull, if after your clone or your last pull, if there is no changes happen, then yes, you are able to push. After that someone push the code, as this happened here, u2 already pushed the code u2.java before u1. Then u1 if try to push, your Git will ignore. Git will say no, cannot, reject. So what you have to do, you have to first pull, means you have to synchronize your local with the latest in the repository. If you do not synchronize and if there is any changes happened here, then it will not allow you to push the code without pulling the code. Pulling means taking the latest changes from your repository to your local, means downloading the code. If any changes happen, then you are unable to push the code without pull the code. But if suppose last time you clone the code, suppose yesterday you pull the code or you clone the code, after that no one push the code, then you again push without pull, then it's allow. Why? Because no changes happened in the repository, no one pushed the code. Here if anything change in repository, then other guy must pull the code, means they have to synchronize their local system with the repository. If you do not synchronize with the repository, then it will not allow if there is any change in the repository. If there is no change in the repository, means suppose 1 week or 2 days or 10 days or 1 month back you pull the code and after that there is no change in the repository, then after 1 month, even 1 year, if you push, it will take, because both are having the same version, same code. This is what happened if you do not pull the code. Today we are going to discuss ternary operator. In operators, this is the last operator. Ternary operator, as we already discussed, unary and binary. Ternary is having 3 operands. This is only one single operator which is having 3 operands, and it's means how it looks like here. It looks like here we are writing any condition. Condition means it will either return true or false, either relational condition or logical condition, anything, but it should return true or false. Then we give the question mark. Then if this condition is true, if this condition is true, then this part will execute. If this condition is false, then this part will execute. So this is your ternary operator. So how many operand? 1, 2 and 3. Here it's not I am writing it is like you have to write true or false value. No, I am saying what if this condition evaluated true, then whatever code written here will execute. If this condition evaluated as true, then whatever value written here, it will execute. It will, our program, our compiler will skip this part if the result of this condition is true. Now in the second thing, if this condition is false, if we executed anything, any expression, if the result of that final answer of this condition or this expression is false, then our compiler will not execute this one. It will skip this part and it will execute whatever code here. So this what I am saying, that ternary operator first having three operands, 1, 2, 3, and expression, the way it looks like, first here we have condition, then we have the part which is called true part, and then we have false part. True will execute, true part will execute when condition evaluated, the final result is true. Then this part, whatever code is here, it will execute. If condition is false, whatever answer, whatever expression or any type of condition, if it execute, if it give the result as false, then finally this part will execute. First condition, yes, this is condition. Either you can type the boolean, means if it may be any expression, it may be here the result should be boolean. Either you can directly write true false, or you can write any expression which will generate the boolean. So arithmetical expression can be part, like we are writing 1 plus 2 in the bracket and then we are checking is greater than 3 plus 5. We have the arithmetical expression, but it should be the result of that complete expression should be inside, it should be boolean. So we will see some of these examples. Like if suppose we are checking is 1 greater than 2 or not, then we are writing question mark. Then we can write anything, or we can write false, and then here I am writing. So what happened here, if you see this 1 greater than 2, this is false, so this one will not execute. Then it will execute this. This is value I am giving here. What I said, on the basis of this condition, if it is condition result is true, this part will execute. Here I just give the value. So suppose here I declare a boolean variable b and I give this one. So whatever the expression answer will be assigned to this boolean. So here the assignment is boolean, which is illogical because 1 is not greater than 2. I should write false here. So here what I am describing, that this can be expression, or you can write anything. Suppose you declare a variable int x equal to 5. Then you can write boolean r or anything is x equal to 5. If you see this condition is true, okay, x is equal to 5, this condition is true. So here boolean means we can return only true and false. So I will write here true and here I will write false. It depends on us. Now second thing is what, if suppose you are checking, suppose I declare a variable int y equal to 3. I just want to check it is a positive or negative number, not. If positive, suppose I ask you if the number, any number, like here y is 3 means positive. If I'm asking you if the number is positive, print 1. If the number is negative, print -1. We are not going for 0, and 0 is a part of the positive number. Then we will do what? I will write int result equal to, then is y greater than 0. If y is greater than 0 means it is a positive number. So I ask you to print 1. Then I will write 1 here. If this condition is failed or greater than equal to, because 0 is part of the positive number. If y is greater than equal to 0, then we are printing 1. Now suppose this condition is failed. So we have any condition, we have any value of y which is not greater than or equal to 0. Then I will write what? -1. So here what you can see, on the basis of this condition, as the value of y equal to 3, then if this condition is true, so here it is true, then this part will execute. This part will execute means this value will be assigned to this variable. Then we will go and print this value. What is this? This is result. So we will get the result 1. How it is happening, ternary operator. Now second thing is what? Same thing. Suppose I am writing x equal to -100. Same thing, I am asking that it is true or false or something. Then what I am doing, I am again writing the same condition int result. Again same thing, if x is greater than equal to 0, then we will write 1, else we are writing -1. So here what happened, x is not greater than or equal to 0, it is -100. So this condition is false. Then this part will execute. First part before colon is true part and the second part after colon is the false part. Then this value will be assigned to result. So if you try to print this time res, then you will get the result -1. So these are the way we are using ternary operator. Now you will see here, I see some of them are writing like Sajid Ali. So it's not an issue. You are writing Sajid Ali, but the thing is what? It should not be in package name, whatever the extra thing. In package name, if you see here, in package name, we do not use capital letter. That is the first thing. So whoever using capital letter, please remove. Make it small. This is the rule number 1. It will not give you error. It will not give you any warning. It is perfect. But in industry, we are not writing package name in capital letter. This is the first thing. So any one of you are using capital letter, please remove that one. Make it a small letter. Second thing, if whenever more than one word like Sajid Ali. So Sajid is a one word, Ali is a one word. Then you have to do what? Whenever there is more than one word, always separate with period. Period meaning dot. Always separate with dot if more than one word and no capital letter. So two rules what I said, if more than one word you can use Sajid Ali or something, no issue for that, but you should not make it one word if more than two words. That is first thing. Second thing is what? Don't use the capital letter. So in package name we do not use the capital letter, we do not use the two words together. So these are the few rules for package. No capital letter, no underscore, no two words combined together in package name. So this is the rule for giving the name for the package. Second rule for class name. Class name we are using something is called Pascal casing. So what is the meaning of Pascal casing? For class name only. For class name we are using Pascal casing. Pascal casing indicate that whenever your name, class name specifically, is start, it will start with capital letter. It will start with capital letter. And whenever new word will come, means more than one word, then again it will start with the capital letter. So this rule is governed by the Pascal casing. These are some different rules of writing any word, anything. So Pascal casing we are using only for the class name. So in class name, first word also start with capital letter, and whenever the more than one word will start with the capital letter. Always remember, even if it is only single word, then it will start with capital letter. But for methods and variable, we are using camel casing. So camel casing is here first word will start with the small letter, suppose like this. If another word will start, then it will start with the capital letter. This is camel casing. Pascal casing is what? So this is difference between camel casing and Pascal casing. Pascal casing, first word start with capital, and whenever the word will change, it will start with the capital letter. But in camel casing, first word will start with the small letter. Then if more than one word, it will always start with the capital letter. If only one word, then only a small letter. So this is the difference. So in package, we use only a small letter and we do not combine more than one word. Whenever it is required, we just give the dot operator and then we will use that one. Pascal casing, it should be capital letter starting, and we use only in class name Pascal casing, either interface or abstract or class all or class internally. So we use the Pascal casing. But for methods and variables, we always use camel casing. So remember, we have to follow all these rules, because if you go and try in industry, so if you don't follow this rule now here, then you are making mistake in the company. So that's the reason I am asking you, all of you, follow some specific rule. Class name will follow the Pascal casing, and method and variable name will follow the camel casing. That's the reason if you see any of my class name, it always start with the capital letter. It always start with the capital letter. Whenever the word will change, it will then again it will start with the capital letter, but not the method and variable. Method and variable we will use. If you see here, then it looks like how it looks like in core Java. We are here, then source. See how many of you who did all this. In source, then we have main and Java, then up to here we have, after that see. So here if you go, it looks like this separate like that. That's inside the Javed all the thing. So all of you, when you go to the student, and then suppose anyone student like Nizam or anyone, then they have all the code inside that one. So it is convenient to search. That's the reason I change the way. That last time I thought it should be at the end. No, it should just after the student. So if you want to see my code, you just go to the package name Javed, then you can see each and everything. That's why. Just write some examples like int I equal to 0 or 2. Then suppose I am writing int result is equal to if I greater than or equal to 0, then I said what we have to print 1. If not, then we have to print minus. Then we are doing what? We are printing result. Now I will run this code. We got the answer 1. Why? Because I value is greater than 0. That's the reason this part executed. So this part executed. Here we are doing what? We are just assigning whatever the final result of this expression to this variable. As I said, assignment operator having the lowest priority compared to other operators. Only having the higher priority only compare with the post increment or post decrement. Beside post increment and post decrement, assignment is having the lowest priority. Means you can say the lowest one is post, either increment or decrement, then assignment, then all operators. So here we first executed the ternary operator, then whatever the result will assign to result variable, then you print here, but there is no change in the I value because we are just comparing here. It is a comparison operator. We already discussed the relational operators. In relational operator, it is either equal to 0 or greater than 0, means any operation, but there is no change in this value. Now this time I make I equal to minus 20, means any value minus 20. Then you can see this condition is going to false. Once this condition is false, then it will execute this part. So this time the result will be minus 1, not plus 1. So we are going to execute this program. Then you can realize. Now we will compare with two variables. Like we have here one variable. Now suppose I declare another variable. Now here we are going where we want what? We just want to see which one is greater. A is greater or B is greater, whatever. So suppose I just declare a variable. I said greater. So I just want to see which is greater. A is greater or means I is greater. Then I just compare. If I is greater, then I am saying okay, we will copy the value of I to our result. If it is false, if it is true means I is greater, we are giving this value here. If A is greater, then we are printing the value of A. Here we declare two variables. One is I equal to minus 20, or I will change the value. I will make it 100. Then after that, I declare another variable A equal to 3. Then I am comparing and I am doing what? Whoever having the higher value, either I or A, we are going to get that value. So how we are doing that one? We are comparing. If I is greater than A, we are just checking. If yes, then we are writing true part as I. If this condition is true, then value of I will be copied into the greater variable. If this condition is false, then this value will be copied here in the greater. So here I value is higher, so we can see the result, it is printing as 100. We just change the value. Now suppose we make it 300. Why we are changing and testing again and again? The main reason is what? Sometime our program work for some specific value. So if you change that value, then it is not working, means we have some problem in our logic. That is the issue. So if you create any program, this is called unit testing. Whenever we write a program, then we are testing that program with different values, okay, with different scenarios. So those values, those scenarios, we are changing and testing that whatever logic that we wrote is perfect or not. Because if suppose I am checking some condition, something, writing some code, and it is working for a specific set of values, for other values it is not working or giving me wrong answer, then its meaning is what? Our program is not perfect, is not correct. This is the reason that we are testing our program with different values. And this type of testing that we are doing, testing is called unit testing, where developer doing test of their own code. Okay, here we are developers, so we will test. Then after that, once we say okay, this one is done, then we assign to tester. In every software companies, we are having the developer team, then soft tester team. So after that, tester will test your code. So you have to remember, and if they found any bug, then they will again reassign you. That means some task assigned to you and you created something, but it is having bug, then they will say okay, fix this bug, means remove this bug, and then again they will test. So this is what happening. So before sending to them, we execute our program and we test, but they test so rigorously and so many ways, because their task is that we do but not so much. So here see, the value is what? Greater is printed. Why? It's meaning our program is working fine. Here we are not taking the case where both values are same. So here we are not taking those cases. If both values are same, we can see that one. Nesting in ternary operator. So nesting meaning is what? Same thing present inside again the same thing. Like logic, I am saying, suppose ternary operator, how it looks like ternary operator. If suppose I am saying ternary operator, so this is I am saying condition part, then we have question mark. In short, I am writing C for condition. Then this is true part and this is false part. So this is looks like a ternary operator. Now suppose I am writing again the same thing. I am writing, suppose this is condition part, this is the question mark, okay, this is colon. So right side of the column, this is false part, means this block, and this part is true part, like this. If you compare here, yeah, just gives the I just given the bracket to just visualize better way. Now maybe this true, this part also again a ternary operator, like suppose I am saying C1, another condition, then this is true part and this is false part. Then we don't have to give the semicolon. Okay, semicolon only at the final time. Again here it is also like that. It is again the false part is also again a complete ternary operator. But always remember, you have to follow the rules. We have to follow what rules, how we ternary operator is working. We have to follow that rule. Condition inside condition. Yes, here ternary operation inside the ternary operation. So previously we just discussed only one ternary operator, okay, in one expression. Now here what happened in condition, one ternary operator, here also it is a complete ternary operator and it is also a complete ternary operator. But if you combine these three, then it is also a complete ternary operator. So this is called nesting. Nesting means same thing inside, means it is like one thing inside another thing, but both are same. We will see in the conditional statement if else, we can see this one in the loop. So these all concepts are called nesting. Nested ternary operator, nested loop, either for loop, while loop, do while, and so on. And this is also possible, okay, this one, that here there is simple one expression like true anything, nothing is special, but this part may be again a ternary operation. So this is also allowed. It's not like that both part must have ternary, no, or maybe true part is having the ternary operation. So this is here, I already wrote. So this is the way you can understand the thing. First you have to how we will follow, how we will solve this equation if there are so many ternary. So first we have to check this one, is it true or false? If it is true, then we have to come here, this expression. If it is false, then we have to come here. Now suppose in first condition, suppose it is having value true, then we come this part, then we again check this value, is it true or not? If it's true again, then we will execute this part. So this is our final answer. Maybe here we have again nested by a ternary. I'm not going inside that one, so complex. Here what happened, if it is true, we will go its true part, which is this complete expression. Then we will check this condition. If it is true, we will execute this one. If it is false, we will execute this one. So this is again following the same rule, but here more than once we have to apply the rules. Now suppose this one is false, then we come here, then here we are checking this value C2. If this condition is true, we will execute this one. If this condition is false, then we will finally, this is the answer. So this is how it is working, nested ternary operator. You have to first check the true or false, then again if your true or false part again having the ternary operator, then you again check that one. If it is not, then you have to move to other part and so on. So but if you observe, then we are applying the same rule for the entire ternary operator, and then the operator ternary operator inside either true part or in the false part, but same rule, condition true, then first part, condition false, then second part. Giving an example that where we are comparing two different variables. Now we are trying to comparing three different variables, then it makes things complex. So suppose we give some value, any value. So here C is the highest value. So our intention is to print the largest value, the biggest value among these three variables. For two variables it is easy, just one expression. For three variables it is more than one expression. Now we will do what? We will first compare a greater than b or not. Then this bracket is not compulsory. Without bracket we can also write, because it is convenient for you, all of you. Maybe without bracket you will get confused. That's what I am writing bracket, else it is optional. Now suppose we are checking a greater than b or not, and then if suppose this condition is true, we are checking a greater than c or not. If a greater than c, then it is a is the greatest. If suppose this condition is true, means a is greater than b, whatever the value, don't see the value, I'm just saying that one. Okay, if a is greater than b and a is greater than c, its meaning is what? A is greater than b also and a is greater than c also, so a is the greatest value. Now suppose this condition is true, a is greater than b. See here, a is greater than b. If this condition is true, but it came here, then this condition is false, means c is greater than a, like this. Then its meaning is what? Which is greatest? C is greatest. How? A already greater than b and c, a is not greater than c, means c is greater than a and a is already greater than b. So by default c is the greater than b also, so c is the greatest. That's why we wrote this one. Now suppose this condition is false, means b is greater than a. Then we come into the false part. Then we are checking, is b greater than c? If this condition is true, this condition true means b greater than a and b greater than c. If this both condition is true, means b is greatest. If again the same thing, if c is greater than b and b already greater than a, it's meaning c is the greatest. So we can see the result is the highest value will be copied here. We will declare three variable. I will say suppose A4, B5 and C is 3. Means here B is the greatest value. Now we have to check. So I said if A is greater than B, then question mark and A greater than C, then I said A is greatest, else C is greatest. Now this time I am not giving the bracket, that's what I said. Now if B is greater than C, then B is greatest, else C is greatest, and we are going to print this value. We will say greatest. So if our this condition is right, then it should print the value b, and then we are going to change the value. So greatest value of b is 5. Now suppose I make it c greatest. So c is greatest among a, b and c, because c is 13, others are having a smaller value. This is what I am just, we are checking only one value. We will change our value and then we will run again and again. Now it gives me 13, so it's meaning it is working fine up to now. Now I will try to make a equal to 40. So now it is giving me 40. Its meaning is what? Our program is still working very fine. Now suppose if I make both of them negative, this is just for testing, is this working for negative number or not. So here the greatest number is b, 5, then it should print 5. Yes, then its meaning is what? Our program is working fine. So this is the way. This is called nesting of ternary operator. If a greater than b and a greater than c, a is greatest, else c is greatest. If b is greater than c and b is greater than a, then b is greatest, else c is greatest. So this is the way we are doing nesting operation of ternary operators. We are going to discuss conditional or condition, you can say. Here what happened, in every time, every day in our real life, we have to take decision. So whenever we take decision, it is always based on certain condition, that if this is happening or this happen, then I will do that. If this is not going to happen, then I will do that. If I have very good amount of money, I will buy a very costly mobile. If I don't have a good money, then we will buy cheap mobile, and it's not just on mobile, it's anything. If I secure very good percentage, then I will get chance in very good college. If percentage is not very good, then it is difficult to get chance in good college. Then yes, we'll take admission in any college. So this is what in real life we have this condition, but means in the programming we have to also do this thing. Like you saw here, if you see our programs, so in programs is what this is our condition. If this condition is true, we are going to execute this part. If this condition is true, then we are going to then. So this is also conditional, but it's not like a part of like if else we are using. Here I'm just trying to saying you that it is like a condition, means on the basis of some condition we are doing some operation, we are taking decision. So this one is translated in programming language, like on the basis of certain condition you have to do this, on the basis of certain condition you have to do that. This one is translated in conditional statement. This is what in conditional statement we are using is called if else, and something is called switch case. So we have two different conditional statement in Java program. One is if else, one is switch case. First we will discuss if and else. So first we will discuss only if, even not else. So as I said, it is like basis on certain condition, some decision, we are doing something. So first we will see the syntax of if. So syntax of if, it should be in the small letter, and it's like that. Here you have to give boolean. Boolean means either true or false. After boolean, this boolean may be means any expression. Any expression means it may be comparison, it may be logical operation, any operation which final result is boolean. So this is either true or false. Then this is your syntax. First we write the if, then we write here in the bracket any boolean, maybe expression, maybe condition, anything. Then we give generally bracket. So bracket is optional. When we give the bracket, when we do not give the bracket, I will discuss that one. So if this condition, now suppose always remember boolean, then we generally give the bracket. This is a standard way of writing code, but it is optional. It is not means compulsory, mandatory. Here what happened, if this condition is true, if this condition is true, then it will come, suppose here you write some code, one line, suppose any code is here. Then if this condition is true, conditional is if this condition is true, code will execute. Okay, this part of code will execute. If this condition is not true, if it is false, then it will simply come here, means after this bracket. So this is how conditional things is working, that if this condition is true, then this part will execute, and if not, then it will simply skip this part. From here to here, how much you give the bracket, all those code, it may be one line and it may be more than one line. So this is a way of if working. So previously, as I said, till now we discussed before this conditional operation, as suppose we have code. This is suppose lines of code. So I always said it looks like, it means the code is working like a English language. English language means left to right and top to bottom. Till now we haven't discussed anything where we are skipping any of the lines of code, any. Okay, it is executing one by one by one by one by one, and finally done. Now for after conditional statement, it will happen what, suppose this one is having conditional statement, like suppose if this condition is true, this line will execute. If this condition is not true, this line will not execute, but there is no effect on any other line. So wherever you maintain the if else condition, here we are just discussing the if, then it will affect only that line. It will not affect another line. Now this time it will, but it will not change the flow of the execution of your program, but it will either skip that lines of code. Maybe it is applied for more than one line, maybe 200,000. It will skip at all those lines, or it will execute those lines if condition is true. So it based on the condition of the inside the if this bracket, that this code whatever inside the bracket will execute or not. Few parts related with if. Always remember I said that here boolean anything, you can give the bracket or you cannot give the bracket, it depends on you. By default with if suppose before if any lines of code, it doesn't matter, but suppose after if, suppose there is any number of lines of code, suppose 3 lines of code or more than one or more, always remember with if only one line, if you do not give the bracket, then only one line by default associated with if. What is the meaning of associated with if here? Its meaning is if this condition is true, if this condition is true, this line will execute. If this condition is false, this line will not execute, but there is no effect on others line. This is what I am saying. By default, if you do not give any bracket, then only one single line just after if associated with if, means it has the effect only one single line just after if condition is true, then that line will execute. If that condition is false, then that line will not execute. This is what means the default way of if is working. So don't think like that. If suppose more than one line, then if is having effect on this line also or this line also. No, only one line by default. Now suppose if you want more than one lines, or even good programming is always write bracket even for one lines of code. For one line it is optional, no need, because by default it is for one line. uh, if you want more than one line, then you have to include then it is compulsory to give the bracket if you want more than one line associated with if. So if this condition is true, all the lines, maybe one, maybe 100, maybe 1000, maybe 2, all will execute. If it is false, then your flow of control means it is executing like this, then it will see here. If it is false, it just come here. After that, maybe here there is a line of code, or maybe there is no lines of code, it is the end of the program. So this is the way it is working. As I said, by default only one line, and if you give bracket, then how many lines inside the bracket, all are associated with if. Now there is something you have to take care. If you are writing if here, any boolean condition, anything, now here you wrote one line of code, and any lines of code may be there or not, but suppose if you give anything after this, if you provided semicolon, then what will happen? So basically students saying this is an error, syntax error, something they generally say, because we cannot give semicolon after if. So this is wrong, this is not an error. Okay, this is not an error, remember this thing. If you give semicolon after if, then this is not error. This is meaning is what you are adding if boolean, and after that you are adding one blank line, so it looks like that. So anything after this one, like this line, then this if is no effect on this line, because you added this blank line here. It's semicolon means you added one blank line. So if this condition is true or false, if you added semicolon, then no effect on the next line. So this is not an error, first thing, and you can write this one, but it's useless. There is no effect on the code of this if. Now same thing, suppose again we are writing if. Now here any boolean condition, anything, and then we have maybe one line, maybe two lines, maybe 100 lines inside the bracket. Now if suppose by mistake again I given here, then what will happen? It is again not an error. You are writing this one, if you translate into the programming language, then it looks like any boolean condition, and again you added one a blank line, then you created this bracket, we can do no problem, and then you are writing. So again the same case, if this condition is true or false, no effect on this block of code from here to here because you given semicolon. So it's meaning you added a blank line with this boolean, means this if, so no effect on this block of code. So these are the some small things generally I've observed that the students get confused, or they generally they simply say, if I write the semicolon, they will simply say, sir, it is wrong. Here we are doing, we declare one variable. In this variable, we just write program started to just means visualization purpose. Then here this is the way I am writing one condition, is age either greater than or equal to 18. If this condition is true, then this line is will execute, means we are just checking any user that this user or this person is eligible for doing voting or not. If he is eligible, it should has the age greater than or equal to 18, then it is allowed to do the vote. This is what we are saying. So if we run this program, then it will print all the line. So it will say program is started, eligible to vote, and whatever the age you mention, then it will say. Now if I modify this program, if I make it 2 and run this program again, so only this line will not visible. Why? Because this line is only inside the if. There is no effect on this line of if. This is the part of the program, this is also the part of the program, but this will execute conditionally. One student asked me in the previous class, why you are always just printing something, why you are not writing any code or anything, why you are printing only why SOP always, why you are not writing any code? I said it is a line of code, it may be anything, it may be mathematical expression, it may be anything. Then he asked me why only, because suppose if I change any value, if I declare anything, then this line I cannot show you that this line is executed or not. I can show you, but I have to write more. So here this is the easy way to describe you to visualize the C. This line is executing. If I just simply print that one. If I simply print that one, then it will very easy to visualize me. This time, if this condition is not satisfied, because age is not greater than or equal to 18, so this line will not come. This line will skip. So in here we can see this problem is now this time this second line, this line is not executed. Why? Because this condition is false. So this is what I am saying, that here it should give you the conditional statement. It may be false, it may be anything. We have to check here. We can check like this is equal to operator, condition, this is character. So this is a simple program. I just want to describe that suppose if the condition, whatever value if we give, here we can write in this program what I want to describe. We can write multiple if. We can write multiple if any condition. A bracket, you know, it is optional. If one line, no need. If more than one line, then it is required. Then we can write again multiple if, and they are all completely means individually they will execute. They are no way interrelated with each other, that if it is not executing or executing, then it has the effect. No, it is completely different. Every time whenever program will start, it will execute this one. If condition is true, this code of line will execute. If condition is false, this code of line this will not execute. Same here, same here. We can write n number of lines of code. It depends on it depends on the coding. How many number of if you want to write. So we can write n number of if, either 1, either 2, either 100, 200, but they are not interrelated. It's not like that first is executing, then second is not executing. It is no way like that. It is completely separate. So we will see this one. So this is the same example. If this condition, any of this condition is true, then it will execute any one of them. Like here I give the B. So only among these three if, only this if will execute. So I said, suppose this is just an example, A for Asian, C for Chinese, and B for British. So we can we will see only British will execute. Why? Because B is only here. For them this condition is false. So we just run this program and then we can see British is printed. And I'm just finally I print the value, because double equal meaning your variable is not going to change the value. It is just comparing. Double equal is just comparing left value with right value, and if it is matched, it will give you the true. If it is not matched, it will give you the false. So this condition is false, this condition is false, and this condition is true. When this condition is true, it printed British and it just print the value. So this is the way program is going to execute. Now suppose if I give any value which is not matched with anyone. So suppose if I run this program, then none of them will execute. None of them will execute. The race is Z because it is not matched. It's not like that any one of them will execute. It totally depends on means the condition. If condition is satisfied, then it will execute. Means how many times satisfy, then it will execute. If it is not satisfied, it will not execute. So we can write more than one if means here only 3. Maybe we can write more than 3, 100, 200. It depends on. Suppose maybe someone said, okay sir, that instead of only just small b, here it is case sensitive. So suppose even if capital A, if I give capital A, it will not work because it is case sensitive. So if I execute this program, it is not going inside the Asian. Okay, so maybe someone said, no, I want either they give capital A or small a. We want both of them will execute the. So I will show you. This is the way. This is Asian, Chinese, something else. Now suppose I will write this program. If you have any class with public, then that class name should be name of the file. If it is mismatch, then it will ask you to rename the file. So see, file is rename. If example 02b and all those things. So my intention is to I said what, either we give the capital B or small b, it should work for both of them. This is my intention. So we can use OR operator, you know, OR operator like this. Logic, and this logic will develop only if you practice hard. It's not like something very means something very peculiar or very specific or very talented person can do. No, it will develop. Instead of capital small b, I give the capital B. So this is OR condition is working. Either this condition is true or this condition, any one of them is true, it's true. So if I run this program, then again British will print. Why? This time I added this B also. So this is your means this is the way it is happening. Same thing again I said, means we are printing Chinese, Asian or British, either BE. So it is like now I added just location. So location I added like AND operation. So AND operation means any one of these two either satisfy true. To give more than one if, then how many if will combine means match, it will exist those values. So suppose if you if you are doing this one, then this time two Chinese and British both will print because it is matching more than one condition. So how many condition it will match? It will execute all of them. Now see here what I'm doing. Either you gave C or A, any one of them, then this will execute. Now I said what, if you want to execute the British, then you have to give this condition should be true. Either you have to give B or E, and this condition is also true. So for British, two conditions should be applied. Here I give into the brackets, so it makes it OR operation. So location is like this. So here this is AND operation. We already know AND means all expression should be whatever the AND operation, all operands should be true, then the final result is true. If any one of them is false, then it is false. So here first we execute this expression as it is again associated from left to right. If this condition any one of them is true, then it will check the right one. If both of them is false, it is false, then it is not going to check the right one. So here if you see race is E, so it will print uh, this condition, but location is L, so this one is not matching, and race E is none of them is satisfied. So this program then it will execute it race equal to B, race equal to A. So this is like I said, no, then if you say B, then it will print this one also and this one also, but for a small b only. If you give here race B is like something like that, then it will print for a small b. If you give, it will print this one also. That's what I am saying. How many cases it match, how many if, it will print all those things. So it may be like the way you said, or it may be more. Now we will see this one. So this time no condition is matching because we have E. So if you see here, no E. E is here, but we are getting location L, which is not M. So this one will also not execute, and this one is no one is having E here or here. So this is not going to execute a single if. So we can see only program is started and the race is E. So suppose if I want to print the British, I have to make it. Now this time if I execute the program, you can see British. Why? This one is only having the AND operation. So here we can combine more than one operation, like we already saw in the pre-increment or post-increment, that we are making so many increment and decrement operators. So this is the way it is working. So this is one of the very peculiar example. Now someone asked me one question. I already discussed, but I will discuss again. So here I already discussed this one, but again I am discussing that. Suppose you have any fraction value, double D is equal to 5 by 2. So when you print this SOP D, then it will give you 2.0. So the answer, why not 2.5? 2 is integer, 5 is integer. See what I said, that assignment operation priority is lesser. So this priority is lower. Sorry, anything on the right side, the priority is higher than the assignment operation, except post either increment or decrement. Okay, post either INCR or post DECR, decrement operator. This is the only which is having the lower than the assignment operator. Except this one, all are having higher than the assignment operator. So first right side will execute, then it whatever the result will assign to the D. Now here we have two operations. One is assignment, one is division. So which one we have to perform first? We have to perform first division. So in division, when they divide 5 by 2, both are integer, then it will not generate 2.5. It already discard the value. It will generate only 2. Now you are trying to assign. This is the second operation. So when you try to assign, then it will say, okay, this is a double data type. Then it will just print, make it 2.0, just for sake of means saying that it is double, it is not integer. But before assignment, it is integer operation is happening, so it is already 2. So you have to take care that one. Check this one. If you have operation already, then it will generate, it will already discard the 2.5. Then after assignment, it will not add the 2.5. I will give you one example. What happened when I was a student, I faced this. I was very confused but this was in the C language. So my intention was to get the percentage. So percentage formula is something like that, that marks obtained divided by total marks into 100. This is the way we get the percentage of marks secure. Now always remember, if someone secure 100 out of 100, then it's okay. Okay, now suppose I thought I will make this one as double, then again I will get some value or something. Now suppose marks obtained, if it is less than 100, suppose 80, 90, anything, divided by 100, and then if you multiply with, then what happened? I was very confused because even I multiply, so it is left to right associativity. So we have to first do division. Then 80 by 100, both are integer. So it means in real life it is giving 0.8, but here in programming it will do what? It will give only 0. So every time I am doing percentage, I am getting 0. So I was really confused. Then I tried by my idea, okay, I will first multiply, then I will do. So I did what? Marks obtained, then I first multiply 100 or something, or even without so marks obtained, some total marks, anything, suppose 100 here, then I got the result, but not the fraction part. So I just did this one, but I didn't know what's the reason. So reason is what? Here we are doing the operation between two integer. That's why if any fraction, it make already 0. This is very important. So in real life you have to take care. If you see, as I said, the best way is what? Make any one of them double, or you just tweak this answer. Same thing, we first 80 into, like here I am saying, so you can do marks obtained into 100.0. Already you first do, then you do marks, total marks. Okay, so these are the things you have to do. So program is something like that. If a person is getting some percentage, if percentage is greater than and equal to 60, we say okay, person is stored secure first division, first position. If the percentage is greater than equal to 50 but less than 60, then we will say second division. If percentage is greater than equal to 40 but less than 50, we will say third. If less than 40, then we will say fail. This program we are going to write here. If you see this condition I am writing, if percentage is greater than equal to 60, then we are doing, I am not calculating percentage, I am just giving the value, and then I am doing what? I am doing, this is the limit type of SY. As I said, if percentage is greater than equal to 50 but less than 60, then what happened? This one we will print the second. Similar to that one, if percentage is greater than equal to 40 but less than, there is two way. Either I make 50 and just less than means no this sign. If I just make it 50, this condition and this both are same, just the way of writing is different. Okay, so try to understand the thing. If the condition is less than 40, then we will say it is fail. Here I said third, and after 40 I just said 40 is fail. If greater than equal to 60 first, if less than greater than equal to 50 but less than 60, and here the same, I said less than 50 but it is less than equal to 49. But here if for doing that 49.9, then you have to make your percentage double. Here my percentage is means integer, so no double value, means no fraction. So if we try to, it is 51, so it should print second division. So it is working fine. If we change, if we make it 91, then it should print first division. Now if I make it 1, then it will print fail. If I make it 41, then it will should print third. So it's meaning for all value our program is working very fine. It's logically it is working fine, but this program is having one problem. Now let me try to explain what is the problem. Suppose any one of you, I am asking some question, like suppose any one of you, I'm asking a question that have you secured first division in your class? If you say no, listen carefully. I am asking any one of the student, I'm asking, have you secured first division or first position in your class? So if student said no, then I will ask the question again, have you secured second division? If a student said no, then I will ask again, have you secured third division? If a student say no, then by default I will say, okay, this guy is fail. Is this clear? What I am asking the question is looks like logical or not? What I said, that if someone is saying no, then I will ask further question. Now suppose Walid. From Walid, I asked the question, Walid, have you secured first division or first position in your class? So Walid said yes. So Walid said what? Yes, I secured first division. So now I'm asking again the question, Walid, have you secured second division? Walid say no, I already said first division. Even after that, again I am asking, Walid, have you secured third division? You will say what happened? What's your problem? I already said I am first position person. Then why you are asking for second and third? And then after that again I ask, have you secured? Are you fail? You say, what happened? Are you mad or what? So this program is something like that because this is written in the logically. This program is written in the coding. So maybe any one of you got this idea or maybe not. So this is, if you see the first question, first line number 11, we are checking one condition. We are checking it is greater than or equal to 60 or not. If it is 60, then we already got the result that this guy secured first division. But our program, as I said, individual if. So any if is not depend on its previous. So here this is the problem in this program. This program is logically means it gives you the answer, but it is means if you see logically something like that, then it is inefficient program. It is doing something which it should not do. It is in real life the way I'm asking the question, then you say, oh sir, what you are asking? If I said already I am first, then I should not ask the question again, second, third and fourth. So this is the problem of this program. This program is doing that. This program even first time maybe first condition is true. So our programs should be efficient. If, as I said, once I get the result, if I am asking question from a student, once I get the result, I should not ask further. But if I do not get the result, then I will ask up to some extent. Then finally I will say, okay, not third even, so fail. So this is what I am saying. So this program is not doing this one. So this program is logically means it will give you the answer, but it is inefficient program. It is not the way of writing the code. So this is having this program. So how to avoid this problem? Then yes, it will take more time. Now I am doing one code where I have to process millions of data. So the program is still good, so many good condition, but you have to make it more fast. So I'm worried about that one. From morning I was working on that one. We have to check how we can make our program more efficient. So here we have some written condition, like when we ask question, so different question having different answer. Some question having only two answer, like I said boolean. So boolean, digital electronics is the biggest example of this. Digital electronics means either true or false. There is no ambiguity, no maybe. So like that one, suppose someone asks, is it night? So if the guy said either yes or no, so answer is clear. The other guy will not ask again, is it day? If they say yes, so they say okay, night. If they say no, means it is what? It is day, it is not night. So similar to that one, so the designer of the Java, they said okay, we have one condition if, and after if you have to write else. This is now we are going to discuss else. If this condition is false, here we are not going to give any condition. If this condition is false, this is by default true. If this condition is true, then this is by default false. So if will is true, else is false. If is false, else is true. So always remember else is based on if, and it always come with if. It is, we cannot write else alone. If we can write individual alone, number of if, it doesn't matter, but else always come in pair with if. So if two if, So you can write with if else. So here we always else will come with the if, else always come with if, else cannot write the individual. Second thing, the previous example, if I give colon here, this time it gives you the error. Previously I said no error. Why? Because this if means this code is completely separated from if, and this else is no way related with this if. So if you have else, then if you give after if any semicolon, then it gives you the error, not because of syntax here, but because this else is getting separated from if. That's the reason. So we cannot give semicolon if you have already else, then is a problem. So you have to take care of that one. So as I said, if this condition is true, this one is false. So always remember, either if will execute or else will execute. So in simple term, we can say any one of them will execute. Any one of them will execute. It's not possible both of them will execute. Any one of them. In reverse way, we can say any one of them will execute. This is only possibility. And the second thing is what? It's also a possibility like any one of them, or someone said both of them will not execute. Another way of saying. So here it makes our condition is more better. If this condition is true, this one is false. If this condition is false, then this one is true. This is a very simple basic example we will see here. So if age is greater than, same example, but we are using with else. So if this condition is false, if this condition is false, this one is automatically true, by default true. We don't have to do anything. So if we run this program, then you will see what will happen. Then it is saying not eligible to vote, means it came here. If I make it and I run this program, then it will say eligible to vote. Why? Because this condition is true, then it will not go this place. Don't give like that. If I give here semicolon, it gives you the error. Why? And before that one, if suppose here we have only if. Now if I give this one, so this condition match or not, but this condition will always no effect on this Chinese Asian. See here, even we have E, here we don't have E, so here no error. Why? Because it is alone. So means, yeah, do you know what happened? So maybe sometime tomorrow you will see after semicolon it is showing error, so you can means remind, oh sir said that no error, but it is showing error. So it's not because of the syntax of if, it's because of the syntax of else. So this is your if and else. Now we are going to do what in our programming? We are, as that program I said that this program is either means if the guy is 60%, so I should not ask for the question, but how to implement inside the if. So we will do that one by using if else, nested if else. We will do what? Nested if else. So how to do nested if else? So suppose I will write if P for percentage, okay, greater than equal to 60, then I will say first division. Now I will write else. It's meaning if this condition is true, it is not going to go here. As I said, if you got the answer, we will not ask the question. But if this condition is false, then inside else we will write if. This is nested. Inside if we can also write another thing. Here else also, but in this scenario we have to write inside the else. If again we are checking here if it is greater than equal to 50. This time we don't have to check less than and less than 60. Why? Because if it is greater than or equal to 60, it will not come this part. So we have to check only if it is greater than equal to 50. If yes, we will write second. Maybe there is a chance it is no. Again else. Then we come here. If this condition is true, it will come here and it will not go to the else part. Again I said when I get the answer, I will not move ahead. Now if suppose this is again the problem, Then again we go inside the if. Then I will check, is percentage greater than equal to 40? If yes, if this condition is true, then we will say okay, third division. Maybe there is a chance. Again, they didn't get. Now this time we don't have to check anything. We will say fail. So this bracket, if you see, started here, close here, started here, close here. So we have to close this one. So whenever you open a bracket, always close on that time. Because I am senior guy, so I can handle. For a new beginner, it's difficult. So here we will stop here. So now see how the program is working. If this condition is true, if this condition is true, you got the result, then it will not come to the else part. As I said, either if is true, then else is false. It will not check the else. So you get the result and we are not checking anything. Now suppose this condition is fail. As I said, are you first division? So student said no. Then I will come into the second question. Because this condition is false, we are coming here. Then we are checking, is this greater than equal to 50? Now I'm asking, are you second division? If they say yes, means this condition is true, then we will do this one. And we are not going for the else part. Okay, again same thing. Now suppose if they said else, this condition is also false, then I will ask, are you third division? If they say yes, it's done. If they say no, then I'm not going to check the condition. I will say okay, it is fail. This guy is failed. So this is efficient program. Same thing, it will, your program will give you the answer, but there is a huge difference. So it makes your program very efficient. So we will see this program I have or not. Same thing, if condition is true, it will come here. It will not come here in the else part because this else is associated with this if. This else is associated with this if, and this else is associated with this one. So 49, this condition is fail, this condition is also fail. It will come here. Then it will print third division. Now suppose I make it first time, it will get the result. It will not execute any one of them. So this is the way we make the program efficient, either using if else and all those things. Now I will discuss this program also. Here we are doing what means, if you see here this program, we are doing first if, then we are writing else. If this condition is fails, then we are coming here, then we are checking again, is this second division, means the percentage value is greater than equal to 50 or not. If yes, then we executing this one. Then if this condition is true, as I said, by default this one is false, then it will not come here. But maybe there is a chance this one is again fail. So we are going, it's like you can say the best and the worst case. So worst case is what, the guy is fail. So we have to check this condition also, this condition is also, this condition is also, all of them fail. Then I will say yes here. If any one of condition, and the best case is this one, it means very first time I got the answer. So here if you go to any algorithm, they have best case and the worst case. So best case, first time you will get the result. Worst case, you check all the condition, then you finally get the answer. So this is the way the program is working.